Chapter 19. Sam spent the remainder of the day on autopilot. She knew she finished the school day. She knew she did her homework. She knew she ate dinner as usual with her family. The only thing that kept her functioning and not falling apart was clinging to the thought that Ellen could explain what happened during English class. Ellen would tell her she wasn't crazy. Ellen would make everything okay. So Sam kissed her family goodnight early. No one asked any questions, and she fell on her knees beside her bed. Sam buried her face in her comforter so no one could hear her sobs. She ignored the horrible throbbing in her leg the pressure of being on her knees created, and she cried for Ellen. "Ellen, are you listening? Ellen, are you here?" Sam's pleas were met with silence. Simply silence. Sam stayed on her knees until the pain intensified to the point of being unbearable, and she slowly dragged herself under her covers. Now what? She was afraid to sleep. Sleep only brought more fear and misery. Where was Ellen? Maybe she was, after all, a figment of Sam's imagination and her schizophrenia now fully manifested. Maybe the trauma of the accident escalated the disease and Sam's new reality. Fear, misery, fear of the next vision, the next voice, misery for the remainder of her life. Maybe she should simply kill herself. That option sounded practical. That would stop the pain, stop the fear. If she killed herself, she could spare her family from watching her descent into this madness. The waves of self-pity and aimless thoughts pressed down on Sam so heavily, she almost felt the bed sag under the weight of them. That's when her eyes fell on the nightstand and her Bible waiting patiently, like an old man sitting on a bench at the mall passing the time while his wife of 50 years finished her shopping. The image of the Bible as a sweet little old grandpa snapped Sam out of the darkness of these frightening thoughts. She grabbed the Bible before she even had the realization that she did so. Had suicide really just crossed her mind and sounded like a potentially good idea? The tears flowed freely again as she clawed at the Bible, her hands feeling too big, too swollen to even grasp one of the delicate, flimsy pages. So she let it fall open, not knowing what to expect, only pleading in her heart for something, anything. Psalm 70. Please, God, rescue me. Come quickly, Lord, and help me. May those who try to kill me be humiliated and put to shame. May those who take delight in my trouble be turned back in disgrace. Let them be horrified by their shame, for they said, "Aha, we've got him now." But may all who search for you be filled with joy and gladness in you. May those who love your salvation repeatedly shout, "God is great." But as for me, I am poor and needy. Please hurry to my aid, God. Oh God, you are my helper and my Savior. Oh Lord, do not delay. Sam read these words over and over, chanted them under her breath, closed her eyes, and clutched her Bible to her chest, rocking. Please, God, rescue me. Please, God, rescue me. And the weight vanished. Sam felt it leave. An instant sense of relief, of a hidden heaviness, like when the technician at the doctor's office takes the big lead apron off after an x-ray, and you never even realized just how heavy the burden pressed against you felt until it disappeared. Sam's breathing slowed as she read Psalm 70 over and over until the heaviness in her eyes made the words go blurry on the page. She wouldn't let go of her Bible or turn off her bedside lamp. She only planned on lying down, but Ellen was there. Ellen was there. Ellen's arms wrapped around Sam, and she mumbled softly. Sam didn't understand, didn't care to understand. Ellen was there, and that was all that mattered. "Where were you? Why didn't you come when I called you?" Sam questioned, not angrily, but hurt. Self-pity began to fill her again. Ellen didn't say a word, only continued the strange mumbling. Sam felt irritation rising in her, and the weight. "Please, God, rescue me. Please, God, rescue me." The weight lifted. "Ellen, what's going on? Am I schizophrenic?" Sam's biggest fear, spoken aloud. Ellen stopped mumbling and softly stroked Sam's hair. "No, Sam, you are not schizophrenic, and I did come when you called." "No, you didn't," panic hinted in the corners of Sam's voice, fearful Ellen may leave as quickly as she appeared. "I called and you didn't come. You never came. Then I wanted to die, but I saw my Bible, but I couldn't open it. But then it fell on Psalm 70, and I cried out, I cried out to God, and now you're here." Sam finally understood. Ellen was there for her, watched out for her, and protected her because she worked for God. Ellen was God's angel, God's creation, just like Sam. "You are keeping me very busy, Samantha Flynn." Ellen's tone scolded, but her eyes still lovingly smiled. "I was frightened for you today. You listened to despair. He is very powerful, and you invited him inside of you. I worried you had allowed him to take control of you." "What are you talking about?" Sam was in no mood for any of Ellen's cryptic speeches and parable teachings. Sam just wanted truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. "Samantha Flynn." Ellen sounded like a school teacher, somewhere between Mrs. Walker and Mrs. Baker. Not too soft, but not too sweet either. "How many different kinds of trees are there?" "Huh?" Sam simply stared at her. "How many different kinds of trees are there?" Ellen asked again, still not too soft, but not too sweet either. "How am I supposed to know, like 1,000,000? "Okay then, how many different types of insects are there?" Ellen continued. "Probably 1,000,000,000, Sam muttered crossly. "How many types of angelic beings?" Sam's blank look made the corners of Ellen's mouth turn up ever so slightly. "How many types of demonic beings?" Demonic. Now that word had Sam's attention. "If there are 1,000,000 different kinds of trees and 1,000,000,000 different kinds of insects and billions of different people in the world, is it safe to say there's a great deal of God's creation that Samantha Flynn does not understand?" Ellen waited for a response. "I guess," was the best Sam could do. "What does your father make you do in the yard every spring?" With that questions. Sam was exhausted and only wanted to sleep in Ellen's arms. Why couldn't Ellen simply just give her a straight answer? "I don't know, we have to pull weeds," Sam replied. "Is everything you pull up a weed?" More questions. "No, I hate those stupid oak trees. They're impossible to get up. All the flimsy leaves snap off. Then you have to get the trowel and dig up the dumb acorn." Just the thought of coming spring and the bazillion baby oak trees popping up all over the place and the labor required to get them out of the ground or a pot plant or the flower bed or wherever. It just irritated Sam enough to wake her up enough just to pay a little bit more attention to Ellen. Did you ever wonder how all those oak trees started in all the strange places you find them? Yes, Sam had wondered, but never cared enough to really think about it. Ellen continued. Did you ever see the squirrel bury the acorn? Did you see the acorn fall and get covered over in good fertile soil? Did you ever even know the acorn was there? Sam imagined all the squirrels in her yard secretly hiding nuts all over the place, knowing how hard it would be for Sam to dispose of them once they finally sprouted. Even the squirrels were against her. The only reason you ever know there's a buried acorn is when the tree begins to show. But the tree is still weak on the outside. The stem snaps easily. But when you do finally get one out of the ground, how deep are the roots? The roots are always huge. They go down so deep. Sam pictured in her mind and felt the satisfaction when she finally dug out one of the baby trees and how it slid out of the ground intact. The acorn seed was still there, but the root, it penetrated from the bottom, probably 3 or 4 inches, and was twice the size and twice as thick and strong as the flimsy stem that she had seen and was grasping and pulling at. And if you don't get the root out, what happens? The tree, it usually grows right back. Exactly, Sam. A great deal goes on around you that you never see or hear. Just as God plants seeds in your heart wanting fruit to grow, so does Satan attempt to plant seeds in your heart. Evil is real, Samantha, very real. And if Satan's seeds are not pulled out at the root, they will try to grow and grow. If you never pulled up that baby oak, it may take years, but a powerfully strong tree will one day be in its place. So what does any of this have to do with what happened in English today? Sam, tired of all of Ellen's doublespeak, and wanted some answers. Samantha, today you met lust. Okay, this was not very much of an answer. Lust? I met lust? Sam laughed as she said it, but Ellen's serious face stopped her in her tracks. The reason you could see her is your connection with Reagan. You were thinking about him and remembering what his flesh felt like. You invited her to approach you, and she did. She was so visible because she has totally and completely consumed that poor boy, and he thinks of nothing else. You're becoming more aware of the spiritual world around you, and you're listening more intently as the Holy Spirit tries to speak to you. You saw lust for who she truly is, a beautiful, appealing, warm, sensual monster baby. Baby? That's weird. She looks pretty grown up to me. Baby? Baby? Huh? What? Baby, are you getting up today? Did you not set an alarm? Sam's mother gently shook her. Sam blinked as her mother opened the window shade and sunlight flooded the room. Sam tried to process the situation when her mother gently took the Bible that was pressed tightly to her chest and replaced it on the bedside table. Her mom clicked off the lamp, then gently stroked the hair out of her eyes and lovingly patted her face. Do you want some breakfast? You still have a minute to eat. if you don't take too much time getting dressed. Lisa Flynn stared down at her with a warm but worried smile. Sam really looked at her mother, maybe for the first time. She was beautiful. Not just physically beautiful, but a light shone out of her, almost as if she glowed. A rainbow of light. Yes, ma'am, I'm getting up, thank you. I must have fallen asleep without realizing it. And Samantha was thankful. Thankful she had a mother who cared enough to wake her up with a smile in the morning. Thankful she could see a light radiating from her mother's presence. Thankful Ellen had held her through the night so she could sleep. Thankful that God listens to and answers prayers. Sam rose out of the bed this morning with a thankful spirit, and despite her still painful and swollen leg, no weight pressed upon her as she stumbled down the hallway to face another day.